The worst cat food brands are also the most popular cat food brands. Purina, Friskies, Royal Canin, Blue Buffalo, Hills. Vets recommend them, supermarkets stock entire shelves with them, and millions of cat owners buy them every single week. These brands are also owned by the same corporations that manufacture junk food for humans. Nestle, Mars Inc., General Mills, Colgate-Palmolive, the same names behind M&M's, Snickers, Lucky Charms, and Colgate toothpaste. So if these corporations produce low-quality, additive-packed food for humans, what exactly are they putting inside the tins and kibble bags sitting in your cat's bowl? I investigated 8 of the most popular cat food brands sold in the UK and US, and what I found is genuinely disturbing. Most contain ingredients that have been directly linked to tumors, kidney failure, liver toxicity, and chronic urinary disease in cats. And the brands charging the highest prices are not necessarily the cleanest or the safest. Only 2 brands on this list actually passed independent ingredient analysis with scores that reflect real nutritional quality. I'll reveal both at the end, but first, let's go through every brand you should remove from your shopping basket. Number 8. Purina Cat Chow. Purina is one of the most recognizable names in the pet food aisle, with products stacked on supermarket shelves and vet clinic counters across the country. But Purina Cat Chow is owned by Nestle, the same corporation behind Friskies and Fancy Feast, 2 brands independently criticized for their low-quality filler-heavy formulas. And the problems with Purina Cat Chow start right there on the ingredient label. The second ingredient listed is corn gluten meal, a cheap plant-based filler that cats simply cannot properly digest. Cats are obligate carnivores, meaning their entire digestive system is biologically built around breaking down animal protein, not corn derivatives and plant starches. When you feed a cat a diet built around fillers like corn gluten meal, their digestive system is constantly processing something it was never designed to handle. The consequences show up in the litter tray. Multiple owners across review platforms report that their cats developed painful, bloody urination that completely resolved only after they stopped feeding Purina Cat Chow and switched to a higher quality food. One owner described taking their cat to the vet multiple times over several months, spending hundreds on tests and treatment, before a nutritionist flagged the food bowl as the likely root cause. At around 65 cents per pound, this is one of the cheapest cat foods on the market, and the ingredient list makes it very clear why. Number 7. Purina One. If Purina Cat Chow is the budget option, Purina One is supposed to be the upgrade, a slightly more premium product from the same company, sitting at around 85 cents per pound. But independent ingredient analysis platforms that score cat food based on nutritional content, protein quality, and additive safety gave Purina One a D, with a score of just 52 out of 100. That is a below-average score, closer to the bottom of the rankings than the middle. And when you look at the ingredient label, the score makes sense. Purina One contains caramel coloring, a purely cosmetic additive that makes kibble look more appealing inside the bag. Cats do not perceive color the same way humans do, meaning the coloring in the kibble adds 0 nutritional value for your pet. It exists entirely to influence the human buyer standing in the pet food aisle, not to benefit the cat eating it. The formula also contains double soy and wheat flour, both plant-based fillers that contribute to carbohydrate loads that cats have no biological need for. An obligate carnivore eating soy and wheat regularly is eating food that is fundamentally mismatched to its biology. Paying more for the Purina label does not mean you're getting a better product. Number 6. Iams. Iams is owned by Mars Inc., the same corporation behind M&M's, Snickers, and several other major pet food brands. And what's inside the Iams kibble bag is where things become genuinely alarming. The formula contains Blue 2 artificial dye, a synthetic colorant that the Center for Science in the Public Interest has flagged as potentially increasing the likelihood of tumors. It also contains Red 40 and Yellow 5, 2 additional artificial dyes with documented safety concerns that have been debated in food safety research for decades. But the most concerning ingredient in Iams is menadione sodium bisulfite, a synthetic form of vitamin K. Menadione sodium bisulfite has been linked to toxic reactions in liver cells and red blood cells, and multiple animal nutrition researchers have raised concerns about its long-term safety when included in daily pet food formulas. This is not a trace ingredient or a processing residue, it is deliberately included in the recipe. Iams sits at around $1.50 per pound, which places it firmly in the mid-range pricing tier. You're paying mid-range prices for artificial dyes, synthetic additives, and ingredients that have genuine safety question marks hanging over them. Number 5. Blue Buffalo. Blue Buffalo built its entire brand identity around one core marketing claim: no animal byproducts. It was the message on the packaging, in the advertising, in the vet offices, and repeated across pet owner forums for years. The brand positioned itself as the clean, ethical, transparent alternative to the corporate pet food giants. In 2014, a competitor brand ran independent laboratory testing on Blue Buffalo's top-selling products. The lab results reportedly found poultry byproducts inside the very formulas that claimed to contain none. Both companies eventually settled the resulting legal dispute under mutually agreeable terms, which means the public never received a clear, definitive, independently verified answer on whether the original claim was accurate or not. Blue Buffalo is now owned by General Mills, the cereal company behind Lucky Charms, Cheerios, and Cocoa Puffs. A corporation whose core business is manufacturing heavily processed, grain-based breakfast cereals for human consumption, now owns one of the most trusted names in premium cat food. At around $2.50 per pound, you are paying a premium price for a brand whose foundational health claim was publicly challenged in court and never fully resolved. Number 4. Hill's Science Diet. Hill's is one of the most frequently recommended cat food brands by veterinarians across the UK and US. It carries the word science in its name, it comes in clinical-looking packaging, and it lines the shelves of vet clinics alongside prescription medications. But the ingredient label tells a very different story. Hill's Science Diet scored a C on independent ingredient analysis with a rating of just 58 out of 100. The formula contains anonymous liver, meaning the source animal is not specified on the label. Anonymous organ ingredients can legally include tissue from diseased or low-grade animals that would not pass quality standards for named, traceable meat sources. It also contains menadione sodium bisulfite, the same synthetic vitamin K flagged in Iams for its links to toxic reactions in liver cells and red blood cells. And then came the recall. Hill's issued a major product recall after toxic levels of vitamin D were found in certain formulas, levels high enough to cause kidney failure in cats that ate the affected food. Hill's Science Diet is owned by Colgate-Palmolive, the same corporation that ran misleading surveys to support the claim that 80% of dentists recommend their toothpaste. At around $3.20 per pound, this is one of the most expensive brands on the avoid list. The clinical packaging and vet clinic placement create an impression of scientific legitimacy, but the ingredient score, the recall history, and the ownership tell a very different story. Number 3. Royal Canin. Royal Canin is the most expensive brand on the avoid list, sitting at around $3.65 per pound. The packaging is sophisticated, the branding is clinical, and the price point signals premium quality. But Royal Canin is also owned by Mars Inc., the same corporation behind Iams, M&Ms, and Snickers. And despite the premium price, the formula is extremely high in carbohydrates and plant-based fillers. Cats are obligate carnivores with no biological requirement for carbohydrates. Their digestive systems are not designed to process or efficiently use large amounts of plant-based starch. Feeding a cat a high-carbohydrate diet long-term is connected to increased risks of obesity, diabetes, and chronic digestive issues. Royal Canin charges premium prices for ingredients that do not justify the cost, and the gap between what the brand projects and what is actually inside the formula is significant. Paying more does not mean you're getting something safer or more appropriate for your cat's biology. Before I reveal the 2 brands that actually passed, if this investigation is useful to you, please like the video. It genuinely helps more cat owners find this information. Number 2. Wellness Core. Wellness Core sits at around $4 per pound, placing it above the mainstream supermarket brands but below the most expensive options on the market. On independent ingredients analysis platforms, Wellness Core scored a B with a rating of 80 out of 100, one of the highest scores recorded among mainstream cat food brands. The formula is built around high animal protein content, with no anonymous byproducts, no artificial dyes, no synthetic vitamin K additives, and no grain fillers. For a cat owner who wants a cleaner, better source product, without moving into the ultra-premium price tier, Wellness Core is one of the most credible mainstream options available. The protein sources are named, the formula is grain-free, and the absence of the cosmetic and synthetic additives that appear in brands like Purina 1, Iams, and Hill's makes the ingredient list significantly cleaner. The B score on independent analysis reflects a genuinely above-average formula. Not perfect, but meaningfully better than the brands ranked below it. Number 1. Weruva. At around $5 per pound, Weruva is the most expensive brand on this list. But unlike Royal Canin or Hill's Science Diet, which also sit at premium price points, Weruva actually earns its cost. Every protein source in the Weruva formula is real, named and identifiable, actual animal meat, not anonymous organ tissue, plant-based derivatives, or filler proteins. The formulas contain no carrageenan, a seaweed-derived thickener commonly used in wet cat food that has been linked to gut inflammation in multiple research studies. Weruva is also very low in carbohydrates and extremely high in moisture content. For an obligate carnivore, moisture-rich food closely mirrors the hydration they would naturally receive from prey in the wild, which is one of the most important factors in long-term kidney and cats that eat dry, carbohydrate-heavy kibble consistently drink less water than their bodies require, and chronic low-level dehydration is a significant contributor to the kidney disease and urinary tract problems that affect huge numbers of domestic cats. Weruva's formula is genuinely species-appropriate, high moisture, high named animal protein, low carbohydrates, and free from the synthetic additives, artificial dyes, and anonymous ingredients that appear across most of the brands higher up this list. Of all 8 brands investigated, Weruva is the one that comes closest to matching what a cat's biology is actually built to eat. Expensive, yes, but the gap between what Weruva contains and what Purina, Chow, Iams, or Royal Canin contain is not just a price difference. It is a fundamental difference in what your cat is actually consuming every single day. Let me know in the comments, did your cat's food make this list, and are you making the switch?